John and Tom stand tall, discussing corruption, answering the call. Osceola's whispers, the truth we unveil. With each podcast episode, we set sail. Unsanctioned voices, we won't be ignored. Taking through lies, we strike a chord. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Politicians trembling, they know we're awake. With facts on our side, we're here to shake. From local elections to making it clear, together we rise, let's spread the fear. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. So tune in each week, don't miss the show. John and Tom will help you know.
You can get some.
Florida's Gulf Coast will begin to see electronic billboards along the highways that declare, "The Republican Party of Florida welcomes you to the Gulf of America." Following Trump's lead, Governor DeSantis recognized the Gulf's name change in a state executive order last month. Each billboard has an elephant soaking up the sun in a beach chair. Florida's GOP chairman Evan Power says this is a symbol of, quote, sun, fun, and freedom. GOP says the billboards are strategically placed along the Gulf and Panhandle ahead of spring break.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Certainly no serious Democrat sought to expand any of the policies or positions Republicans claimed were so rampant and so necessary to defeat. I have never pushed to install or even expand CRT, ESG, DEI, or wokeism. For none of these will lower your property insurance, your rent, nor will they result in your kids' GPAs getting higher or their test scores going higher. And like many of you, I've wondered how, with more than 30 years of majority control in the legislature and executive branches, how any of these issues were so insidious that they festered into such an instant concern. Or rather, how did a generation of Republican predecessors allow us to get to this place? And more important, why did these Academic issues so dominate our time and capacity instead of paying attention to failing infrastructure, plummeting test scores, spikes in homeowners insurance.
We have a lot to talk about there, John. Tell me that man is not running for governor right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
That is a big endorsement for himself for governor is basically what he's telling you. Welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. This is going to be a great show. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. Florida has been going crazy since we did our last show. You just saw Pizzo there, Senator Pizzo, who will be running for governor. And then you have, previous to that, it may be fun, it may be freedom, right? It may be sun, but it's not smart. And we can play games all we want, but the Florida GOP, if the only thing they're going to be good at is trolling Democrats when they go to the beach, then they should look for other types of work because they're not paid to be comedians. They're paid to win elections. And winning elections that you already have does not give you any credit. You already have those seats. So you have the Florida Republican Party trying to be funny. And yeah, was it funny? Yes. Was it clever? Yeah. Kudos to them. They got a good joke off.
Yeah.
But an even bigger joke has been their performance when it comes to local elections in seats that they don't already have. And that joke is not very funny.
No, it's not.
So especially when you have somebody like Pizzo, who's pretty serious, he's calling him. Now, is Pizzo any different from any crazy Democrat, in my opinion? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough about him, right? But you can't seriously say, oh, no real Democrat was fighting for wokeism and ESG and all. What? Anna Eskamani? I don't know if Pizzo's ever heard of Anna Eskamani. What about the new senator from Central Florida here from Osceola County, Kristen Arrington? She's woke as hell, okay? She is more concerned about adoptable dogs than she is about families because she doesn't have a family of her own.
Yep.
So these are
Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Carlos Guillermo Smith. That's what I was going to go to next. So you have Carlos Guillermo Smith. So don't talk to us and pretend like, oh, Democrats aren't really crazy, that the Republicans just say we're crazy. No, you guys are one flew over the cuckoo's nest, all the way gone, padded room, crazy. You may not be, or you can pretend well that you're not. But that's just like the Republican Party pretending that they've caused the Republican victories in Florida over the past several years. And neither one of those things are true.
You know, John, we talked about this on the pre-show that we have been warning people for many shows now. I mean, from the past, like even last year, we were talking about if they didn't handle certain situations in the legislature, like the insurance crisis, like the housing crisis, like the different things that are happening in the state of Florida, affordability, if they did not handle these issues, a Democrat was going to come along and talk about them. And it's still to this day, you know, if they don't handle these issues with this legislative session or the next one, Pizzo is out there talking about these issues, sounding like a sensible Democrat, which you never hear anymore. You're giving him an opening. It's a
danger, right?
Yeah.
It's a danger. While there's 1.2 million, they're celebrating 1.2 million more Republicans and Democrats in Florida. Imagine if you lose to a Democrat now because you're being an idiot who's pretending that the people aren't watching. Look, even Trump has room to learn a lesson. You see the backlash that he's receiving because nobody's going to give him backlash. Everybody wants him to do, but not everybody follows him along every path. What his fight with Massey, Republicans generally don't disagree with what Massey's doing. They don't care. It's okay to have a couple of congressmen who are a pain in the ass to Trump. Nobody's offended by that, right?
No.
Now, is there anybody going to abandon Trump and what? No, nobody's going to do that.
No.
But it's good for Trump to be humbled every once in a while. It's also good for everyone to be in the system to be humbled every once in a while. And what we don't want is for Republicans to do what they did to Erica Booth the first time she ran, is give her a protest loss, right?
Yeah.
They voted for the Democrat, or they refused to vote as a protest, and she lost the race after spending more than $2 million on that race by the Florida leadership, by the House leadership. We don't want that for governors, right? You don't play games when the stakes are that high. Apparently, that's all the Republican Party is doing, is playing games, putting up billboards of elephants in lawn chairs. But when the stakes are this high, you don't do it.
You know, John, I wonder what the number of independents is. You know, we have, you know, an over majority of Republicans over Democrats in the state of Florida. But what is the number of independents? And could that independent swing make us a purple state again?
Yes, I think absolutely it can. How many? Let's see how many independents there are in Florida. I wish I remembered. But you know, yeah, absolutely. 1.2 million. I don't think is I don't think is enough, right? Like if you just, no matter what. Now this is a red state. Is Pizzo going to win? No. But is Pizzo going to make the Republican Party spend more money than it should in a deeply red state?
Yeah,
probably. Right. I mean, and those are the issues. So what does that mean? That means you don't have enough money for all the other races. That means you don't have enough money to fill the bench. That means you don't have enough money to play the long game. And all of those things. Listen, this was a Democrat majority state not too long ago.
Yep.
So, and like I said, no matter what you think, no matter what you believe, it's not the Republican Party who made that switch. It's all Trump, it's all DeSantis, and it's all Biden at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, those are the three things that led to the increase in Republican voters. So don't mess around with that, with a good thing.
No.
And and like I said, there's only one outfit in the entire state that is worse than the Florida GOP, and that's the Florida Democrats, right? and that's the problem. So no matter how bad you are, you're not as bad as the Democrats, but that's not what we want in the long game for Florida.
No, not at all.
Well, okay. So we're gonna do a prayer really quick, and then we're gonna get into the show. We're gonna talk a lot more about this. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the state. Too much to talk about in the intro, but anyway, let's do our prayer and let's get down to the show. Lord, we are grateful to live in the great free state of Florida. Lot of interesting things going on. It's not a place, no matter how Republican it is, it's not a place where the citizens escape abuse. And that's the state that we want to become. We want to become a state, not just the free state of Florida, but the state of Florida free of abuse of its citizens. That would be what would make us happy. That would be worthwhile. We want a state where the citizens and the American family comes first in the legislature and in everything else, not just on people's lips, not just on the Republican Party's mouth, not just in their talking points, but in their actions in Tallahassee. That's where we want it to come. And that's where we want it to be, Lord, where we put you first. And we know that means that the American family will be saved. Father, allow us to reach people. Let them get excited. It's now the off season for the elections, but there's an election coming up. We have an important election for governor. We have an important election for the House, for the Senate. There's a lot of things going on. We need people to be involved. So continue to keep them inspired and motivated to do the work that it requires to make this state and keep this state the best state of the union. In your son's holy name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's start off with the state of Florida. All right, in this segment, we're going to cover all these things happening across the state, John. And like you said, there's a lot going on. Governor DeSantis speaking out quite a bit right now, proposing all kinds of things. And one of them that gets me excited and asks a lot of questions as far as I'm concerned, too, is he's calling for open carry and red flag law revisions. Here's the video.
And I hear the arguments against it, but we know that's not true because we see other states that have laws that respect that. So I'm for it. I've always been for it. And here's what I know. If you talk to most gun owners, very few gun owners will actually open carry. They just want to know that they can. It's a constitutional right, and they want to know they can exercise their constitutional right. So I'm for open carry. I'm also, and I called in the speech to reevaluate some of the recent legislation, which predated me as governor, but things like, if you look at this red flag law that was passed, you can go in, they can go in and say, this person's a danger, they should have their firearms taken away, which is property in addition to being something connected with a constitutional right. And then the burden shifts where you have to prove to a court that you are not a menace or a threat. That's not the way due process works. The burden's always on the government, yet they've shifted the burden for doing that. The reality is this is not something that's been adjudicated all the way up to a court of last resort, but I think it's a huge, and I opposed it at the time because I think it's a huge due process violation. And then you also have the issue of they've taken away the rights of young adults to purchase a long gun. So you can have somebody that's a Marine, they can get dumped in someplace in the Middle East carrying a rifle around, defending the country, and then they come home and they can't even buy a rifle to go hunt. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, are you an adult or not? And I think that was something that was problematic. So those are things that a lot of us have been talking about for a long time. I don't know what the legislature is going to do in those respects, but I can tell you that we, in spite of us saying we're the free state, in spite of us being like, oh, we're this Republican bastion, conservative bastion, we've definitely lagged on that issue compared. Now, we've done some good things since I've been governor here or there, and I'm happy to sign some of that legislation, but nothing really transformational.
I can't disagree with the governor there, John, but my only question is, why is he talking about this now, and why hasn't he talked about this in the past? I mean, he's been the governor for over 4 years now. Why hasn't this come up prior to now?
I think that the biggest thing is that the governor and the legislature were working in unison, right? They were working together in the presidential campaign. They were working together with the swamp in Florida to make things happen, right? Or to kind of like prepare for this presidential race, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why that makes such a big difference. That now that the legislature doesn't need Ron DeSantis, quote unquote, from their perspective, they're trying to get rid of Ron DeSantis as the leader of the party, and they're trying to be their own leader of the party and do their own thing. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and push the most conservative stuff, and we're going to show the Floridians exactly where you stand. Florida Republicans are going to be pissed at you guys. Not only failed to do this already in previous years, they tried to do open carry previously, and Pasadomo didn't want anything to do with it. When they talked about it early, even before the session started, Ben Albertin said he had zero interest in it. So now he's bringing it up because it's public. He's forcing them to reject it. And so I think that it's political. It's political on all sides because the legislature wanted DeSantis to be president. And if that would have been the case, they would have been, all together. They would have been very nice and happy. But because he didn't get it, now they're all trying to go their own way and get their own results out of it. They're worried about who's going to be the next governor, not this governor anymore. They're trying to make sure that he understands that he's a lame duck governor. And he's been a pretty effective lame duck governor because he hasn't let them rest. He's been all over.
Absolutely.
Right? So he also been talking about property taxes.
Yeah.
So when you have all of these big things that Floridians want, at the end of the day, they're going to go with the policy. They want the policy that DeSantis is talking about, whether they want DeSantis as the president or not. They still want DeSantis as the governor and leading the Florida Republican caucus. The Florida party, they want the legislature, which in their mind, they're all together. They want it led by DeSantis. Yeah. So the legislature is being set up to look bad again and again and again. And he's going to make some of them pay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, John? I love to see it. I love to see him putting this pressure on this legislature, especially after the way they tried to stab him in the back just a couple of months, a month or two ago. So good to see him putting that pressure on. And it doesn't stop there, John. He's also calling on lawmakers to make permanent the protections for Floridians from being mandated to take the mRNA vaccine, which is to expire in June. Here's that video.
And I don't know why it happened at the time. It wasn't something that I was pushing, but they put in there a sunset provision. And so in June, the protections that you have against these mRNA mandates, being a Floridian, those protections will expire unless the legislature acts to make them permanent. So I'm here as governor endorsing making these protections permanent. You should not be forced to take an mRNA shot against your will. And that should be the right of every Floridian. This will also, if the sunset happens, it will also allow schools and higher ed to be able to institute some of these mRNA mandates. Now, most schools by now, people have been upset about it, so a lot of them have not done it. Now, Florida, we said you couldn't do it from the beginning. Most schools were doing it back in 2021. Now fewer are doing it, but you know, you never know with how these folks do. And then, of course, government entities and the businesses, you need protection for that as well. You know, I'd be talking to like these firefighters. Yeah, these guys have been like on the front lines, like, and during COVID, they were doing things to help people. Many of them got exposed. That's just part of the job. They did it. And they didn't want to take mRNA. And so they were going to lose their job. It was like a big contest, I remember, for some of these. We of course, did the law, which was good. But leading up to that, there was a lot of people that were really concerned about what could happen. And it rattled a lot of folks because it's like, you know, you work hard, you do all this, and then what? They're just going to cast you aside just because you had a disagreement on whether this was the right thing to do for you. And so we're really glad that we did that, but we got to make that permanent. I mean, we cannot allow those protections to evaporate. I don't know what would happen immediately if they evaporated. I don't know what the mindset is in some of these areas, but I think what we saw during COVID is things can hit the fan very quickly and people can lose rationality very quickly.
Yeah, and we saw that here in Osceola County, John, and the governor has a point. You know, he doesn't know what's going to happen if this sunsets and this goes away. But I could definitely tell you what would happen here in Osceola County, probably Orange County too, and different areas of the state where it is still blue.
Yeah, they would have absolutely tried to force people to take the vaccine in Osceola County. The school district, the county, the police chiefs, everyone would have been forcing you to take that. It would have been pretty bad. Fortunately, I guess the sheriff, who's a Democrat, he said, I'm not going to force anybody to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
During a legislative session. So that was positive, but I think that he's might be the only reasonable person at that meeting who mentioned that or who said that, refused to. This begs the question to me far more like, why now? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why now? You're on your way out. Why now? Does it seem like this is going to be a problem? This might be this seems like common sense. Don't get me wrong. The legislation is like common sense. Of course, you should not be forced to take medicine, especially one that's proving to be so damaging physiologically to people across the world. Of course, you don't force them to take it. And your right's already protected. In fact, I believe that your right is already protected. That right is already protected. The fact is some Democrats just don't care about that.
Yeah.
But okay, you're going to codify it. Great. But I would have liked to have seen all this. He should have said all of this stuff prior to the legislature, and he should have been harping, and he should have allowed the Floridians to get all over the legislature and force these issues if he really wanted them to happen. I don't know. I'm hoping that everything says true. Hey, listen, I hope that they do the property tax. I hope that they repeal these red flag laws. I hope that they go ahead and pass open carry. I hope that they, of course, codify this medical freedom. let's see what happens. I mean, how much of it is political and how much of it is actually going to happen? I'd like to see.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I'd love to see all this stuff come through too. But it's looking like the legislators are brewing up for another fight with the governor. At least it seems that way, as
Seems that way.
the Republicans are trying to stop Governor DeSantis from spending taxpayer money to fight ballot initiatives. And here we go with that. Senate committee, which is the Ethics and Elections Committee, voted to ban taxpayer money being spent to endorse or fight constitutional amendments as it advanced legislation, making it tougher for those ballot initiatives to get on the ballot in the first place. Governor Ron DeSantis reportedly spent millions of dollars to help defeat last year's abortion rights and marijuana legalization initiatives as he traveled around the state for press conferences, funded commercials, and, all right, just remember this came from Florida politics, weaponized a state agency website to condemn abortion. And you know, that's why it's worded that way.
Yeah.
This amendment makes sure that taxpayers don't get the bill for political issue campaign, said Senator Jennifer Bradley, the amendment's sponsor. Bradley argued that the state has a role in informing the public, but said she worries a line is getting crossed. When they cross over into attempting to influence the outcome of a ballot measure, I think we're then treading in territory that makes me very uncomfortable as a conservative who is very concerned about what our role of government is in a democratic society. This is what she said on Monday's Senate Ethics and Elections Committee meeting. What she's saying there doesn't sound very conservative to me, John. I mean, I don't know. If we have things like marijuana legalization on, the ballot, yes, we have to fight that. You know what I mean? There's certain things that we have to fight in this state, and we have to fight however we can. I don't know.
I mean, what they didn't like is a governor imposing his will on the lobbyists. That was and all of these legislators, apparently they just are sold out to lobbyists because that's who was offended. That's who spent the money to try to make this happen. They're more worried about siding with John Morgan than they are about siding with the Floridians who made a choice. The choice is what it is, and the law is what it is. And I mean, this is embarrassing. And you know what? She probably didn't even have a choice. This was probably handed to her by Danny Perez, who's one of the worst speakers ever. An embarrassment. I'm pissed off that the guy is a Hispanic because, you would hope that he's a good one, but he just sucks. He's really terrible. He lost his composure in this fight with DeSantis. He lost his reputation. He didn't even force Ben Albritton to carry some of the weight. He did it all himself. And then people were asking for him to be recalled, for God's sakes. It's bad. And he hasn't shown that he's any better with this stuff.
No, not at all.
He's clearly not for the Floridian. For him, this is all politics and lobbyists. The guy wants to become a millionaire, and he wants to make his lobbyist friends millionaires, and that's all there is to his career.
Yeah, tell it like it is, John. Absolutely.
Unfortunate. I wish it wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, I know. Me too. Well, the governor did share that Casey DeSantis was out there golfing with President Trump. And I don't know why he shared that. I guess he was proud. I don't know, maybe to try and influence some minds coming into 2026. But yes, he shared this picture here. It was on X. And they're teeing off at Trump International in Palm Beach. And she made it birdie on the hole. Wow. Yeah, so there they are, and I don't think that this is going to change the minds of anyone, including President Trump. John, President Trump has already come out and endorsed Byron Donalds, and I don't care how many times she goes golfing with President Trump. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Well, you never know, right? But no, it's not going to make a difference. He's not going to. Trump is like such a. He's so passionate about loyalty, and any lapse in loyalty for him is bad. And Byron Donalds is not going to. The fact is, Byron Donalds is not going to mess up or cause a problem to Donald Trump where he has a reason to. Right? because, like they have like an unspoken contract. You do right, you keep doing the right thing, and I'm going to stick by you.
Yeah.
And then, and Byron Donalds is going to do that. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to fight hard. He's going to do everything that's asked of him, in the sense of not getting in trouble, not being an embarrassment, not ruining the campaign, not being controversial in the sense that he did something wrong. It's like that. The kind of stuff that would be a liability to Trump is not going to happen. Trump wants him there. He can depend on him, and so on. And with DeSantis, they already had beef.
Yeah.
Now it looks like that may have been cured, but you and I don't know. Do you feel I feel tension when I see them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I feel tension when you see them together, how can there not be tension between them? Because you got to know that even so basically the Florida Republican, the Republican voter feels tension. That I'm sure they can feel that tension.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. So I don't know. I don't see him switching his mind. But what you could possibly see, the worst thing that could happen to Byron Donalds, is that Trump doesn't get involved. Like he's not like in it, like people see that he's backed off. He made his endorsement. He left it at that. And that's all. I don't know. I don't think that she is. If he really wanted to win, that's who you pick, or does he just want to stay in control? You got to know which one of those two things is here. The DeSantis family wants to stay in control, or do they want to win the governorship? This is about control, I imagine, and it provides DeSantis with footing to run for president after again, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of things at stake. I'm not sure that this is the way I would have done it. But I think that fighting with the legislature is a winner all day long, because what will happen is it will water everybody down. Everybody's going to get drowned. Everybody's going to get dirty. That's what he should be doing. In 2 years, DeSantis needs to pick the people that he's going to win in primaries. He needs to primary people like crazy, and that's how he's going to maintain influence in Florida. That would be my number one priority. Because if that were happening, I guarantee you people would keep their mouth shut. They wouldn't have been fighting. If they thought that he was really going to fight with them in primaries, they probably would have backed down earlier and sooner and who knows what. But
well, the governor did say that he was going to do that, John. He did say that he was going to put money behind people. So
yeah, but you know what? What better way to do that than right now? Bob White, right? There's an April 1st race.
Yep.
There's an April 1st race right now going on. Bob White, the president of the Republican Liberty Caucus of the state of Florida, he's running for state house. People have raised way more money than he has. The establishment has a pick. It's not Bob White. That's a great race for him to get involved in and be like, you know what? We're going to go with the chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus over the state.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Why? Because then you're going to have all these diehard Republicans or very far right-leaning people. They're gonna be like, "This is okay. Look, he's for real."
Yeah.
And see him take one of these wins, and then you know that he's got the power while he's governor, where he can't. I don't know. I don't know if he's really going to do that, or if he's flexing and he's just trying to better position himself. You just don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you this: the tension that you talked about, I believe it's still there, absolutely, because I think President Trump is the kind of guy that he's like, burn me once, shame on you, burn me twice, shame on me. So as long as Governor DeSantis is playing along and being a good Governor DeSantis and supporting the Trump agenda, I don't think he's going to have any problems with President Trump, but I don't think President Trump has forgotten at all what happened during the primary for the 2024 election. So
no, not at all.
Yeah. So, and I also want to remind people that Casey DeSantis has not declared that she's running for governor yet. She has not. But while she makes up her mind whether or not she's going to run for governor, this poll came out, John, that says that Byron Donalds would crush Casey DeSantis in 2026, and it would make history as Byron Donalds will become Florida's first black governor. This poll here, John. Well, anyway, we'll start with this. Back in December 2024, Governor DeSantis did commission a poll to try and gauge where his wife's name recognition and popularity was among statewide Republican voters. Since the poll, both Governor DeSantis and Mrs. DeSantis have hinted at this possible run, leading to speculation that the poll results came back somewhat favorable to them. Now, a new poll of 600 likely Republican primary voters released by veteran Republican pollster Tony Fabrizio shows that in a head-to-head matchup between Byron Donalds and Casey DeSantis, Donalds dismantles a potential DeSantis dynasty. According to Fabrizio's poll, Donalds edged out DeSantis by a vote margin of 34% to 30%, with Agriculture Commissioner Wiltie Simpson lagging behind with 3%. But, John, according to the poll, those voters polled back Donalds over DeSantis by a whopping 45% to 23% after learning that he received the highly coveted Trump endorsement.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what you're going to see is an ad with Trump and Donalds over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this. I think that this proves the power of a Trump endorsement, how powerful the MAGA movement is that, you know, President Trump puts his name on something, you know, that's it. I mean,
yeah. Well, when there's question as to why they would, as if there's question, right? Because look at the Tom Massey thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like Tom Massey, people are so like, even people like, I mean, I'm not a big Tom Massey fan. I think that Tom Massey, why weren't you fighting like this before is my question to Tom Massey. Like, why only with Trump? You know why? You know, okay. And I get you were fighting these CRs previously. He's only voted for one CR in his career, and that didn't pass because it also included a whole bunch of reductions. But dude, the dynamic has changed.
Yeah.
You can't take a policy from the 1980s and try to force it into 2025. Why are you doing it? You got to be able to change. Why are they doing it? Have a conversation with Trump, find out exactly what the deal is, right? And then get on board with making those things happen. Doge is already saving money too, right? So I agree on the spending. I agree with Massey on the spending. Why are we spending at the same levels that Biden was spending on when Doge has already uncovered the fact that the United States government is nothing but a big laundromat and Ponzi scheme, right?
Yep.
I mean, I agree. I agree. I'm with you on it, Tom Massey. But you know what? I'm not going to take the reins away. Give all the control in the world to Trump right now, because whatever he's going to do with that money, I trust Trump to do the right thing. And now that he understands the process, right? More than I trust a guy who's saying, no, I'm so principled, I'm going to say no matter what. So anyways, point being, that's not what we're talking about tonight. Point being that the people, though, they're still supporting Massey because nobody thinks that Massey's really doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
So with DeSantis, we don't know what he's doing. It's not enough. It's not enough that somebody say, oh, well, I'm the true conservative. I'm this, I'm that, and whatever. And even when they have a record, we want to know, are you America first? Are you the guy that is the America first guy? Right? That's what they care about.
Absolutely.
So if Byron Donalds had been caught like scheming and scamming, which is not the case, but if he had been caught scheming and scamming and trying to be like a Leslie Graham, then he wouldn't win, even with Trump's endorsement, possibly. So, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not in a race that big. In a race that big, I mean, when it's national news.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, this poll was also done for a potential matchup between J.D. Vance and Ron DeSantis in 2028 GOP primary. And the poll found that J.D. Vance would defeat Governor DeSantis in Florida for the 2028 GOP primary, John. Very interesting that these 600 likely Republican voters decided that they like J.D. Vance better than Ron DeSantis for president. They found Vance at 47% support among likely Florida Republican voters, and Governor DeSantis at 33%, a 14-point advantage for the vice president. What are your thoughts on that, John?
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it's even that close, to be honest with you. I think that, people have moved beyond that. Right. So they, right now, J.D. Vance, they like him. They like the fact that he fought with Zelensky. They have respect for him. I think that a lot of people were apprehensive because of what he said about Trump, in 2016 timeframe. And now we realize, just like us, he was right. And it looks like he's 100% on board. And he's a big part of the Trump. He's not like a Kamala Harris who did nothing, right?
Yeah.
He's a big part of that administration. He's working. He's traveling. He's out there fighting and, in negotiating on behalf of the United States. And he's a frontline guy. He's not like in the background. So, I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat him. I don't know if I want J.D. Vance 100% yet. I imagine that he would probably be the guy, but I think that's who Trump set up. Obviously, he did this intentionally. But who knows? Who knows what happens? A third party could come out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'll tell you this, John. I think J.D. Vance is a 100% upgrade from Mike Pence.
Oh my God, that's not even close. That's not even close. J.D. Vance isn't 100% upgrade. This is like, they were driving what would Pence be? A Honda. He was not even a Honda. Honda's too dependable. He can't be that, right? He's a Yugo. A Renault. He's a Renault, okay? He's a French Renault. That's a great one. He's a French Renault. And J.D. Vance, man, is, geez, man. I don't know. A Tesla Roadster?
Yeah, Lamborghini. I don't know.
Yeah, he's up there. He's a Alfa Romeo Giulia Quattro.
His intelligence is off the mark, and like his reactions, the things he says, he speaks extremely well. I don't think we could have asked for a better vice presidential candidate, but we had such good choices this time around. There were so many names being thrown out there. I didn't exactly trust in J.D. Vance right away, but he definitely won me over. That's for sure.
Well, here's the thing. I think that he's so good because he's authentic. He's genuine. And Trump, obviously, he had a hard time picking between Rubio and him. And I think everybody likes Rubio. I think that everybody likes the job that Rubio's doing, but I think that everybody really loves the pick that he made with Vance. It was a spectacular pick. As difficult of a choice as it may have been, it really turned out to be a positive thing. Big time.
Absolutely. So one thing that came up on the radar, John, was what's going on with Mosaic, who wants to inject phosphate wastewater underground and in the roadways, John. This is incredible here. Here's a picture of a Mosaic plant there where they process this stuff. And this Tampa-based Fortune 500 fertilizer giant is eyeing a place to put its industrial wastewater thousands of feet underground. Over the past year, the Mosaic Company, which operates mines across Florida's phosphate-rich Bone Valley region, has applied to either test or begin injecting its phosphate wastewater far beneath the Earth's surface at 4 of its facilities, including 2 in Hillsborough County. The sweeping push for underground injection is the latest attempt from the $8 billion mining company to find new ways of managing its waste in Florida. In December, the federal government approved Mosaic's controversial request to test phosphogypsum, a mildly radioactive byproduct of the company's fertilizer, as an ingredient in road construction. Yeah, John, I don't know if this is a great idea to put this stuff deep underground where it can contaminate water and things of that sort.
They're saying that, no, this is going to be perfectly safe. They're going to put it just above the water, reserves in the earth so that we have nothing to worry about. I mean, come on. This is crazy. This company is a gigantic corporation, and they get what they want because they lobby and they pay and they, I mean, it is what it is. And it's just, come on, this is a company, they don't give a damn about the state of Florida. They don't give a damn about the Floridian. They don't give a damn about the American family. They don't give a damn about any kid that might get cancer from these decisions. They're just trying to make that bottom line picture better at the expense of Florida and our state. And anybody, I mean, it's just, we got to say no.
Yeah.
You got to say no. You can't do this to the state. Let them pay for whatever. I don't care if they want to pay Elon Musk to ship it out on a rocket into space, do that instead. I mean,
absolutely. Send it to the sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Send it into space. I don't care. Go send it to the moon. I don't give a damn. But I mean, don't put it in the earth here where we live.
No.
I mean, that's like something that Fred Hawkins would do, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what they did in Osceola. They were importing dirty, toxic coal ash from Puerto Rico to Osceola County. That's what our county commissioners decided to do. I mean,
yeah, they put it at the waste dump. Obviously, the leachate that was coming from that, which is the runoff, the sludge, the nastiness, was seeping into the ground. It was getting into the water. Not a good thing. Not a good thing, John. All right, John. So before we talk about our home, Osceola County, we have this important message.
"9:03 a.m. 22-year-old Laken Riley begins her morning jog. Minutes later, Riley activates the SOS feature on her smartwatch. A flurry of calls and texts from her mother go unanswered. 9:28 a.m. Laken Riley's heart stops. The reason? This killer, an illegal immigrant who'd previously been arrested, then released. The Laken Riley bill ends the catch and release of illegal immigrants who commit serious crimes. It was supported by Republicans and Democrats, but not all Democrats. Darren Soto and Maxwell Frost opposed the Laken Riley bill, siding with the radical fringe instead of innocent victims. Soto and Frost have the chance to prevent tragedies like this one. Now, it's too late.
Come on, guys.
And it's true. Yeah, Maxwell Frost and Darren Soto both voted against the Laken Riley Act, John. And shame on Darren Soto. It's so...
They don't have shame, unfortunately.
No, they don't. But it's really sad and tragic to see how far to the left that Darren Soto has moved. A lot of people considered him to be a moderate, to be a guy who wasn't out there to, make great waves or anything like that. But we've seen him over the last couple of years move further and further to the left. We played that press conference that he did on about 2 or 3 shows ago, where he was coming out against President Trump. What a disgrace. I hope Osceola County finally does the right thing. Orange County, get rid of Darren Soto. It's time for a change. The guy's no good.
I mean, no good is the best thing that he can be called. Him and Maxwell Frost, the boy congressman. Yeah. These guys are two worthless idiots, clowns. Just because one pretends that he's a decent person, the other one free form idiot, doesn't mean that they're worthy of serving us in Congress. They are both an embarrassment. I think that we just saw, in the last America show what an embarrassment that Maxwell Frost is, but this voting record that they're both racking up is far more embarrassing than anything else. This is, I mean, I want to talk about the ad a little bit too. I mean, these are two Florida congressmen who don't deserve to be there. But this ad is a deep roast of these two guys by the Florida GOP. We already said like that. I mean, this is what the Florida GOP is doing. They're roasting people. At least this is an election style roasting.
Yes.
But it's good to highlight exactly what an atrocious pair of congressmen these are. And I agree with you. I hope that they are taken on and taken out by a Republican, opponent this election cycle.
Yeah.
Although it's not going to happen with Maxwell Frost, he's far more likely to be removed in a primary. But I mean, how embarrassing! How embarrassing to be represented by an idiot.
Yeah,
like that. It's crazy.
It's true, John. It's true. All right, so this next video we're gonna watch, John, was shared by someone we both know, powerhouse realtor Stephen Pugh. Out of St. Cloud here, and some news about impact fees going up in Osceola County.
So I just got off the phone with the county, Osceola County, and a little tidbit of information for anybody out there that may find this helpful. So impact fees on manufactured or mobile homes effective May 18th this year are going up from $16,000 to $32,000. So if you're trying to pull a permit, you want to put a mobile home on a piece of property, do it before May 18th because they're doubling from 16 to 32, and then single family are going from 26,000 approximately to 37,000. So impact fees, if you want to build a house, are going from 26,000 to 37,000. This is all in Osceola County. Wanted to share this with you. Just got off the phone with the county. Hope this information helps somebody out there. Have a blessed weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. Our good friend, Steve Pugh, great realtor, EXP guy, really a good guy in general. And he has a great podcast, and he puts out great content. So if you're not following him, follow him. Great guy. But I mean, this is drastic, right? They have so much money. I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to say, oh, good, because it'll slow down building. No, it's not. They're going to listen. This is not going to slow anything down. This is a big ploy. The county doesn't need any more money. What they should do is handle this with planning. Yes. Overdevelopment can only be handled by planning. That's it. It cannot be handled by these fees. If there's the demand for the houses, the builders are going to build it. They're going to pay whatever costs. And then who's going to pay for the houses? The people who are coming and buying. Now we have high interest rates. Now we're going to have our impact fees double, which is going to go to the consumer, right? Some people are going to say, well, this is going to increase the value of homes, but there's inventory out there. So it's not. It's going to lower our value of our homes because the inventory is going to increase, right? There's a lot of inventory in Osceola County. So the value of my home, which is already here, is going to stay stagnant or drop a little bit. And then all these new homes are going to be built more expensive. And the difference between a new home is going to be up here and a home that's already built is going to be down here. And we don't get any benefit out of it. The Osceola County does everything ass backwards, where the people who live here get the shaft by the county, and then the developers and everybody else gets a favor.
No, you're exactly right, John. You're exactly right. And I'm going to tell you, it all happens in planning. That's where you can put a stop to what's happening, not through these fees, because what's going to happen is you're going to have investors coming in and buying up these homes. That's what's going to happen. I can tell you this. I live in a residential neighborhood, an older residential neighborhood here in St. Cloud. Both of my neighbors on both sides of me are rentals. And they became rentals because investors bought these homes because the prices are so high that the average family cannot afford this home. So, investor comes in, buys the house, they rent it out. We see rental communities being built in St. Cloud. So those,
and in Kissimmee.
Yeah, and those rental fees are just going. Yep. So that's what you're going to see here. With these impact fees going up, the person who's going to end up paying for it is you and me. It's not going to be, the developer's not going to care that much. And anyway, they discount these fees all the time for these developers. So it's not,
so small developers are going to get, unless they're going to pay a fee to a dirty lobbyist here who goes and gets permitting for them, then maybe they can help themselves there. But otherwise, even small developers are going to be hurt. So it hurts everybody but corporate home ownership. Yeah. This is bad. This is a terrible, terrible thing. I mean, this county it can't get any worse, man. It can't get any worse.
It's true. It's true, John. So this next video that we're going to play, John, is a person we've had on the show before, local political consultant Jeremy Fetzer. He went before the Kissimmee City Commission, and they were talking about who's going to pay for more police presence in downtown Kissimmee. And let's check this out.
I want to clarify some.
Speak a little more.
I want to clarify about some of the comments that were made earlier in the workshop. And a lot of the people were asking for enforcement of the current ordinances, more KPD police presence. And I talked with the city manager. I think there's some facts that need to be stated. The property owners and business owners in the downtown CRA, the property taxes that they pay go into the CRA fund. It doesn't go into the general fund, so they technically don't fund for police services. So any response that go into downtown, in the downtown CRA, that expense is actually shouldered by the wider population and the residents. So to actually ask for more police presence and ask for enforcement and more KPD presence, that's kind of why the reason Winter Garden model and the Orange County model went into effect, to offset the cost that is being impacted by these businesses. Again, you as a city commission have finite resources. And for more police presence in downtown, when the property owners, yes, they do pay taxes, but they don't fund specifically police services. Mm-hmm. And to ask for more presence and more officers downtown, what is that pulling away from when it comes to the general fund? And I just read that property valuations for 2026 and 2027 look like they're going to decline 10%. So you're looking at general fund revenue possibly reducing over the next 2 fiscal years, which again, fund police services. So again, with your finite resources and what these business owners want, it comes down to a fiduciary responsibility of this commission and staff. So I applaud the staff for bringing this forward, because at the end of the day, your job is to manage the money and to manage the resources that are finite. And for business owners to want more without funding it, again, it puts you as a commission and staff in a very precarious situation. And then again, that's the root of this issue. And there is a problem. One shooting is one too many. And I heard comments about downtown isn't scary. I talk to investors all the time wanting to invest in downtown. That is the sentiment amongst those who we want to invest in this community. Visitors who want to come downtown every day. There is a perception problem. And perception is reality. And then again, too, this is a financial issue for you guys to fund this extra police services downtown. Again, the general fund evaluations do go down 10%. The general fund's going to be hit. That means hard decisions need to be made. So just that needs to be on your top of mind too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fetzer. And to Mr. Fetzer's point, City Manager, I think that is something we need to kind of, when we all sit and talk, who pays for this? When you're asking for more money and more policemen equal more money, and that will have to tap into the general fund unless we can tap into CRA, but there's a whole nother set of rules and regulations for the CRA pocketbook, if you will. So can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's correct. So the way the taxes work downtown, or anywhere you have a CRA, when the CRA is created, the tax values at that point in time stay in the general fund. Any increase in value and the resulting revenues that are generated after that point in time all go into the CRA fund. So when somebody pays a tax or their tax bill every year, a very small portion that's going into the general fund to pay for general services, including police and fire services. The majority of that funding is going into the CRA fund. Now, CRA funds, you are able to use the CRA fund to supplement services that are provided citywide. You just have to amend the CRA plan, There has to be a reason, and so we have to be creative in how we write it. But it's possible that the CRA fund could fund that. But you also have to think about then that takes away funding for grants that you're giving out to businesses and homeowners, as well as funding that you put in for infrastructure. So it's a balancing act. It's
taking from Peter to give to Paul, and is that really the solution? And if every business owner that is requesting additional policing, that comes with a cost, and I think that's something that we need to discuss it.
All right, so they're not talking about a new tax, but they're talking about basically pulling from the CRA funds to fund more police downtown, right, John?
Well, I think more importantly to me is businesses should not be requesting these cops to protect it while they're open on hours that are not normal, right?
Right.
Like a 9 to 5 regular daytime or whatever. The cops are there to protect people. They're not there to protect your business. They're there to protect your business as a byproduct of cops protecting the community, and the people who own those businesses are local, et cetera, et cetera. But so that's number one. I mean, for a business to be saying, hey, we need more cops, we need more cops. Well, if you're creating money, if you're generating income based on the safety that these extra cops are providing, then you should pay for those cops, right? They should be off-duty cops. The police should not be changing their plans for policing at all in order to provide an environment so that these people can do things that may not provide an attractive environment, which needs to be policed more heavily so that we don't have a city that has the reputation of being like Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's one thing. Number two, cops are like the priority at the same thing. I'm also not like, oh, well, you ask for more cops, then this comes out of the general fund and this, whatever. Nobody wants to hear that. If there's shooting going on in your city, you need to resolve that through the police, deal with it. Nobody cares. Nobody has sorry. We don't care if it's the general fund, if it's the mayor's, new haircut fund, if it's the mayor's, beer on Tuesday fund. None of these things are true, by the way. I'm not saying she's drinking beer on Tuesday or anything. I'm just saying that it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about where the money's coming from. Your job is to protect the citizen of Kissimmee. That's it. So nobody wants to hear, oh, well, we don't have money. We don't have money. Okay, then you know what? If Doge came in and they looked at all the expenditures of the city, are you telling me that they're not going to find anything? I guarantee you that they would. And Kissimmee is not the worst run city in this county by far. But still, they're going to find, and you're going to find things. They just spent $15 million on that Kmart. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, $15 million on that Kmart. There had to be money somewhere, right? I mean, so nobody wants, when it comes to the safety of the citizen of the city, nobody wants to hear, oh, well, we don't have the money. Reduce the number of permitting clerks, reduce the number of this, reduce the number of that. Go find out. Do you really need everybody doing this? Do you really need everybody doing that? Go back and find the money. Make sure that the streets are safe, and start from there. So I wouldn't say that either side here is 100%, but I do get the point that Jeremy was trying to make, which obviously he's there to support the mayor, right? And whatever the mayor is on the side of, he's going to come and speak on behalf of that. Yeah. So, but I get the point that they're jointly making. I just, it's not very compelling. Oh, well, there's not enough money and the taxes are going to go down. All those things are good. Nobody's interested in how much harder it makes your life. We're interested in those things happening anyways. We want the taxes to go down. We want you guys to have less money. We want you just to focus on doing your job, and policing is one of them. So everything else, right, you shouldn't be doing. I always see them driving around in cars like at the parks and whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. If I go and I look at the jobs listings that are at the city and I look at the line by line budget, I guarantee you that you'll find the money to make sure that the streets are safe.
Well, Yeah. I think you could say that for Osceola County and the city of St. Cloud too, John.
I think for Osceola County, you'd be looking at something criminal, probably. I mean, I think that I think literally you would, you'd find something criminal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of the city of St. Cloud, John, or at least the St. Cloud PD, St. Cloud Police Deputy Chief resigns amid controversy over alleged inappropriate relationship. John, here's that video.
St. Cloud has resigned after investigators say he was caught with a woman inside his police car on duty over and over again.
The claim that they were in a relationship and the deputy was hiding behind the badge. Channel 9 investigative reporter Shannon Butler has the report and what the chief is saying right now.
Deputy Chief Fran Reinhart was with the city of St. Cloud for more than 30 years, but earlier this year resigned after this investigation claimed he was spotted several times in his police car with a civilian. Reinhart says there was no relationship, but rather a mentorship, telling investigators, according to the report, that he was assisting her with real estate resources, exam questions, and just having coffee. But Police Chief Doug Gerke said it appeared to be an inappropriate relationship and that the actions not only undermine the public trust, but also compromises the reputation and credibility of the entire police department. Gerke going on to say, quote, "In your interview, you stated that you can be held to no higher standard than that of our officers. While I agree with your contention in theory that all employees are held to the same high standard of integrity and professionalism, I firmly believe that the members of our command staff, including yourself, must be held to an even higher level." Saying that Reinhart is a steward of the department's reputation and a visible symbol of the commitment to justice and public service. He was only suspended but resigned anyway. Gerke wrote in a statement to Channel 9 today, quote, "Staff behavior that could damage the trust the St. Cloud Police Department has worked so hard to build with the community will not be tolerated, regardless of rank or tenure achieved. We take the accusations of misconduct very seriously and have conducted a thorough investigation to verify them." In St. Cloud, Shannon Butler, Channel 9.
Mentorship and having coffee in his squad car over and over again. I don't know, John. I really don't know.
Over and over again.
I'm curious if this woman that was in the squad car over and over again made any attempt to defend former Deputy Chief Reinhart and say that, yeah, there was nothing going on. I mean, they didn't go there, obviously, but yeah, John.
Man, I the part that gets me is the over and over again. They make it seem like he was told not to do it and he continued to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
I haven't seen the report. I'm just going to see if we can get a hold of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what I mean? Like, why do you push the envelope if they're saying don't do it? You don't do it. It doesn't matter if you're a chief or not. But that's St. Cloud. That's Osceola County, right? You're there because you were, you're entitled to whatever you have. And, and this entitled way of some of these guys behaving is, I mean, off-putting for sure. And I guess not. I mean, I'll never cry over, somebody losing their job who's doing what they shouldn't be doing. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's strange. I don't know. Of course, I'm not going to make, I don't know, what was happening in that car over and over again, but totally unnecessary.
I'm sorry
for somebody to lose their job over it because they should be doing something else anyways.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's say that there's nothing happening there. We just talked about how there's not enough cops in Kissimmee because the budget comes from the general budget instead of what. There's cops out there drinking coffee over and over again with their mentee. I mean, come on. They should be working.
Real estate tips too, John. Don't forget.
Yeah, real estate tips. Real estate tips. That's it, yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that doesn't end there, John. It doesn't end there with the St. Cloud Police Department. Unfortunately, this St. Cloud cop pled guilty in a gun trafficking scheme. So this is the guy right here. St. Cloud police officer, he has pled guilty to federal charges of dealing in firearms without a license to a Caribbean smuggler. Michael Adrian Nieto, 31, faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison. A sentencing date has not yet been set. The Department of Justice reported this on Tuesday. According to court records and the plea agreement, Nieto, a sworn law enforcement officer, repeatedly purchased and resold firearms to individuals such as Ernesto Vasquez, a reported member of a criminal conspiracy that smuggled hundreds of firearms to the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Haiti. In addition, Nieto used police databases to provide sensitive and confidential information to Vasquez. So he was giving him the heads up, John.
Man, this is rough. This is rough. The guy pled guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess he's not looking at that much time if he's going to plead guilty, right? He's hoping to get this.
Yeah, they said five years, possibly, John. 5 years.
Well, 5 years is the max, and if he pleads guilty, then he's probably not going to get the max. So, I mean, I don't know, man. This is bad.
Yeah,
that's really bad. Does not make you feel confident, but you have people not obeying, like the deputy chief who's out there, mentoring people in his car over and over again. So I mean, it's just not good, man.
Yeah.
Not good. You don't want to see cops doing the wrong thing, but when they do, they get in trouble.
Yeah. At least we see that this action is being taken, but this action wasn't being taken by the St. Cloud PD. This was the ATF and federal agents who came down on Mr. Nieto. So, not good, John. Not good. Well, anyway,
not good at all.
We're going to end the show on a rather lighthearted note. I want to put it that way because this action really means nothing at the end of the day, and it is lighthearted if you think about it. I don't know why it says that.
This is not lighthearted. This is the absolute worst thing that has ever happened to the citizens of Osceola County. And the fact that they're happening is a crime.
Yes. The commission approved the ceremonial use of mayor and vice mayor titles for their chair and vice chair. So, yes. There they are approving it. And at the March 3rd board meeting, the Osceola County Board of County Commissioners passed a resolution to adopt the ceremonial titles of mayor and vice mayor for the roles of chair and vice chair. This change aims to provide greater clarity and recognition of these leadership positions, particularly for business and government sectors in Osceola County's expanding international market. So I guess international government officials don't understand what a chairman or vice chair is, Osceola County is a player on the global stage with investments being made in our backyard, particularly at Neo City, said the chairwoman Viviana Janer. This ceremonial change simply ensures that when the board is meeting with its counterparts in other states and countries, that the chair and vice chair roles here in Osceola County are understood universally.
This is so dumb. They're so dumb. They just want to be called mayor. This is just, oh man, I almost lost one there.
They so badly want to emulate Orange County, John. That's basically what it is.
They want, and they want it. They believe me. They want to convert that to a strong. If one of them felt they were going to win, they want to convert that to a strong mayor role. They would love to do that. So I mean, they just can't do it, right? None of them. They're all afraid to lose it, and this way they get, they all get treated like it. So it's just they're a sham. These guys should be. They should be investigated, and I guarantee you they'll find something. They're not great.
No, not at all. So yes, now we have county mayor and county vice mayor, at least to our international visitors or investors. Ridiculous. All right, John. So that is the end of the show. We went an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be fast. We will be back with you probably over the weekend on Saturday. So look for us then with another Unsanctioned America. There's no shortage of news. So we love you. Thank you for sticking with us, watching, like, and share the show. On behalf of me, former school board member John Arguello, my great friend, citizen Tom Lord over here. Thank you. Have a great night, and we will see you on Saturday.